So remember when we all went to college, if some of you went to college, and realized that you were supposed to actually pick a career path that you were supposed to go down, and then by the time you got to the end of college or was starting to work in that career path, you realized this ain't what you want to do no more? Or maybe you had an experience towards the end of college and it made you realize, I almost wasted 4 years of my life and potentially grad school. Buckle up, we gonna buckle up. Today, we're gonna talk about my background into how I got into mental health and how I made a complete shift literally a month right before I finished my college degree. So let's go for this ride today. Don't show my license plate! I went to school originally for occupational therapy. When I was a kid, I used to love actually working with kids with disabilities. And I went to a church that was a non-denominational Christian church, and there were some kids in there that either had mental disabilities or had physical disabilities. And it kind of made me realize, I'm like, this population is kind of underserved. Me realizing that a lot of people didn't understand certain things about like how to, give them services, or like how to do small things for them, actually like feeding them or changing them or like giving them a sense of independence. It kind of made me realize, at first I wanted to do actually physical therapy, which is oddly enough, but your girl never wanted to go to school for like 8 years, and 8 years seemed like a lot as a kid. I decided, all right, instead of doing physical therapy, let's do occupational therapy. If occupational therapy, what's kind of like really the difference is when you're working with fine motor skills, teach individuals a sense of independence. And fine motor skills might be working with your hand, teaching them how to get in and out of the shower, teaching them how to eat their food, basic daily living skills. So I had to think a lot more outside the box even in that, especially being a Black African-American woman, and knowing that from an early age, I was like, what's gonna put me, and this is a life lesson I think everybody should take into consideration. When you're thinking about your career path, think about what is going to separate you from everybody else around you. So just like I talked about in my last video, I decided I wanted to go be an ABA therapist. So I did ABA therapy for about 5 years, and I started when I was 18, 19 years old, and I did in-home therapy with children that actually had autism. Working with children with autism kind of taught me a lot about basic daily skills that they have to complete consistently. Ooh, is that a parking space? Me thinking about that, it also gave me a light into what potentially occupational therapy might look like. Even though they're kind of different, they're similar in certain aspects. Another thing that I also did, not only working in home therapy, I also became a paraprofessional. So I worked with children with disabilities in an alternative school so that I can see what occupational therapy looks like if it's in a school setting. That looks completely different from when you're doing it in home therapy or if you're doing it in center therapy. And I wanted to have different arrays and different avenues of what occupational therapy or what working with children with disabilities might look like, because that was primarily my target audience. I worked in an occupational therapy setting in my grandmother's retirement home, where I got to see what occupational therapy might look like for the elderly, as well as working in occupational therapy as a volunteer and in an in-center for Children's Specialized Hospital. That's just kind of what grew my idea of wanting to know, what does occupational therapy look like and what is working with my target population might look like to benefit where I wanted to go within my career. But my mom, I have to give her a shout out to my mom for this. She gave me the idea that because I am a minority, it's not gonna be easy for me getting a job once I get out of college. She was like, start thinking about where you wanna go now. Like if you're going into grad school next year or in the next 2 years, what might be on your application and what can you bring to the table because you have that years of experience. So if it wasn't for her giving me that advice and now me giving it to you that advice, I wouldn't be able to sit here and realize like almost me going to occupational therapy was not what I wanted to do. If that's the one piece of advice I can give you guys when it comes to choosing your career path and understanding it, is go find some type of similar experience so you can ensure that this is really what you want to do, because it sounds cool when you see it as a kid and when you're in high school or when you might do it in somewhat of a volunteer setting, but it's not until you're almost doing similar work in this field when you're actually getting paid to do it, where you might realize this ain't what you really want to do. So yeah, that's the first point that I'll give you guys for this video. All right, let's go. I first started at a school in New York called Monroe College. If you love your children, please do not send them there. If you really seriously do love your children, do not send them there, okay? Okay. Well, I like this color too. So I started off college trying to go into occupational therapy. I ended up deciding I wanted to go to King University. Originally, I was going for my degree in biology. I was almost damn near failing biology. I'm not gonna talk about that. I decided that I need another career path to potentially get me into occupational therapy. My professor at the time, I can't remember her name, but shout outs to her, told me you should maybe look into going into psychology, because I kind of told her I really like more mental health than I do on like doing physical health or biology type aspects. And so she's like, why don't you try psychology, since like really you want to focus on the mental aspect side of occupational therapy. That following semester, I switched my degree path. So shout outs to her. It was really, really cool because I got to learn a lot more about abnormal psychology, which actually kind of helped and benefited me for like my childhood. We'll talk about that definitely in another video, on how that was so healing and helped me understand not only like ASD, which is autism spectrum disorder, but also helped me understand like Alzheimer's. It helped me understand psychosis. It helped me understand a lot of things that actually impact mental health, and like even how the DSM-5 actually doesn't take into consideration a lot of cultural nuances that actually impact a lot of individuals. When I started to take classes into Intro to Occupational Therapy, which was during my senior year, and learning more about my mental health, I was like, I'm getting like literally one semester away, and I'm like, ooh, this ain't kind of what I want to do. Now that I knew I don't want to do occupational therapy anymore, it was more like a what was next. I had to start thinking outside the box on job opportunities. I knew it was either I wanted to be a psychologist, a marriage family therapist, or I wanted to be a social worker. But something that I realized that maybe a part of me is, I think it's the laziness in me. I didn't want to do the hours. I think this is another good thing that they should talk about when it comes to going for certain degree paths. Public health has more to entail. And considering the fact that I really like solving more problems and bigger in mass settings and kind of creating certain infrastructures, it made more sense for me to actually go into public health than to any other thing. And if it wasn't for me also realizing when I was working in a urban school district, especially when COVID happened and the disparities within the school ventilation systems, access to Wi-Fi in urban households, access to healthy foods, considering the fact a lot of them could not work because their job opportunities were very limited. It made me realize a lot more that maybe this is kind of what I want to do, and actually kind of create different types of infrastructures to better this community.
Real quick, you just enjoy helping people. Is that something you've always done? Because you're the first occupational therapy.
Pretty much. My grandmother was a nurse. My mom was a servant in the church, so I was always used to like helping individuals because that's just naturally how I grew up. Considering that's like kind of my background, that's kind of really all I know. All right, guys, so I'm clearly trying to figure out what color I'm gonna paint my room. So I need y'all to do me a favor. Comment which selection you think is best. I'm doing a brown or a royal blue and like a white. All right, so this is option A, and then this is option B. We're gonna put them right next to each other. What do you guys choose? You guys can let me know in the comment section which one you guys would prefer. All right, so can you hear me? Oh wait, it's not in the way, perfect. Considering the fact that I always knew that I wanted to help individuals, I always had to figure out what was the avenue that I wanted to kind of teach and incorporate mental health into a lot of low income and individuals that were in like areas that didn't have access to like public health or mental health resources. It was really actually a mentor of mine, Dr. Cheryl Hardy, that actually taught me that everything that I wanted to do when I showed her like my business plan and how I wanted to incorporate teaching people. Actually, it was her and my friend Tina, so shout out to my friend Tina. They're like, why don't you just become a life coach? I started to look into like, what does a life coach do? Like different types of life coaching, and kind of how could I tailor life coaching best to me? So I end up applying for a life coaching school. I can't remember the exact name of it. If I can remember it, Eric will put it up right here, because I definitely forgot. And then I also went towards getting my life coaching certification through Dr. Cheryl Hardy, because she is a clinical psychologist, as well as a bunch of other different titles, because I can't even remember all of her titles. And that's how I actually obtained getting my life coaching certification.
How did you feel like once you got your certification? Like, what was that?
It was, okay, so like, it was kind of surreal, because like I also was graduating at the same time. I started JWP like a few months prior, but it wasn't like tailored on ink to paper till like May 30th. I graduated May 23rd. I got my life coaching certification literally 2 days after I graduated. So it was May 25th, I officially became a life coach. Then I finished another life coaching program a month or 2 months after that. And then I did my business, which is officiated on paper as of May 30th. So it was just like a slowly, but like it all came together, which is why like May is such a big month. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, but it's also like the month that I finished with my degree. I also finished within like life coaching schooling. It's always a big month for me to like really think about and reflect on how far I've definitely come. So I'm very always grateful and just appreciative of like how much growth we've had since that period in time. After being a life coach and working within different avenues for so many different years, I end up working with adults with disabilities. That started my life coaching journey to teaching them certain things. So let's get into that now. You can stop right here. All right, so last but not least, we're gonna definitely dive into why I decided to work with adults with disabilities and basically kind of what it taught me. I got hired to work at an agency that was really catering towards teaching adults with disabilities and incarcerated individuals different types of independent skills and daily living skills to ensure that they could be able to live enriched, filled lives. I worked there and I noticed there were certain things I just didn't like about the job. For one, the management. That's a whole nother video in itself. Also that I realized that there's a lot of health disparities, not only within SSI, which is Social Security income when it came to SNAP benefits, as well as even getting mental health services for this said community. Oh, look, they got SSI in here too, with benefits. Also, what I also learned is like the housing for a lot of individuals in low-income communities is not also like the best housing. When I used to work with individuals during the life coaching, I learned that they also need to be taught, especially with individuals that have mental health disorders, that they also need to be taught habits-based retention on how to clean up their house, how to ensure that they're paying their rent on time, how to ensure that they're balancing a checkbook, and even how to ensure that they're actually making progress within their health, as in if they have high blood pressure or if they need to advocate for themselves in certain healthcare settings. These are things that I also noticed were such a disparity within this said community. It made me realize like this is another reason why I kind of wanted to go into mental health as well. So considering all that, after I departured because I got fired, and if you want to go check out that video, there's a video back from 2022. I'll put it right here, where you can learn more about that video, and I talk about that whole entire experience and what I even learned from working with that population and how that also influenced me to want to go back and get my master's, and also talk about how I really clearly don't know at all what I was doing. So yeah, that's really all I got to say on that. So thank you. So thank you guys for coming today to watch my video, as well as go run errands with me. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Definitely let me know in the comment section which paint preference did you go with. Do you want to go with A or do you want to go with B? Let me know what you guys decide, and I can't wait to see the next video diary. Yes, clearly I need fresh breath. I think everybody should go see their dentist. And make sure you invest into your health.
How you go from mental health to dental health?
First off, just know the fact that I care about all health. That's the point of being somebody that works in public health. Don't judge me, judge your mama. All right, so that's
Judge your mom is crazy. Judge your mom is crazy.